happening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Screen Chronicles. I'm Steve, and with me, as always, is Colbstone. Not too heavy for the ice.
That's always been my nickname, and I don't. I'm so happy you remembered that.
You're quite welcome, sir.
Thank you.
As you may have guessed from my title here today for Colbstone, we are talking episode 6 of season 5 of The Last Kingdom. Here today, we are going to give you our little kind of spoiler-free review score. It's so brief, it's going to hurt your neck. It's so brief, and then we're going to go on. It's going to be a spoiler discussion recap after that, where we break down what we thought about each scene and our favorite bro moments, our favorite moments.
Yeah.
And there's so many crazy things that happen in this episode, so make sure you stay tuned.
This was a fun one. This was a fun episode. If you've seen it, you know why. But Steve, what do you give this out of 10?
10.
Yeah.
10 out of 10. I think when I first watched this, just because of all the shocking things that happened in this, I think when I was doing the reaction, and first watched it. Oh, let me specify too. I've watched this now twice. I'm going through my second watch through of season 5 of The Last Kingdom. When I first finished it, I definitely still love the show. I thought the ending, I don't feel like I got Last Jedi'd, without giving you spoilers for anything past this. If you listen to our Last Jedi talks, you've got an idea about that. I don't feel like it happened to me. I don't feel like I got Game of Thrones at all.
Right.
But definitely because we were cranking out episodes before we would talk to the guests, and it was just, we were dealing with that and other things at the same time, working on stuff. It wasn't as natural too, I think, part of it. And then too, like, I was going in with expectations for what I wanted from the show.
True.
And what based off the last season and things like that. So I'd say when I first saw this one, I think I gave it like a 9, just because there's some things that I don't like that happen in it, but they're amazingly well done. There's obviously they don't know everything that I want, but like the episode was just great. They should.
We've said it.
We've said it for like how many hours now? There's like how many hours? 5 things we run from season 5. We made a video.
We made a concise list.
It was very concise. I mean, there was a battle between us at the beginning.
But last episode, we were talking about how they gave us too much of what we wanted.
Yes.
And we were disappointed.
Yes. So, I mean, let me just say that. I mean, like, so second watch through here, I'm giving it a 10 though. First watch through, I think I gave it like a 9. I just watched it again. It was emotional. It was action. Yeah. It was twisty, the cinematography, the color palette. Like when I'm watching this too, I like, as nerdy as this sounds, like the color palette, like when like everyone's like in these like dark colors and like this like this gray brown frosted world they're in, but like the sun's out, like it looked just so cool. Like it was just, it looked cool. I don't like 10
It was fantastic. It was fantastic.
What about you, Colby? What do you give?
I'm gonna go as well, 10 out of 10 on this one.
All right.
Absolutely crushed this episode. I don't know what more I could say. This was definitely one episode I was like on the edge of my seat for.
Yes.
A lot. So I'm really excited to talk about it. That's all I have to say, non-spoiler. But please, if you're listening and you're enjoying this, we would appreciate you subscribing to our channel and our podcast. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and all that jazz. So we appreciate all the support we've gotten. And
check the links in the video below, or if you're listening on podcasts, we have YouTube, all the social media stuff, all that down below. And thank you. It helps. Yeah. It helps.
But now is your spoiler warning.
Spoiler alert, people. You are warned.
So if you haven't seen this episode yet, don't watch this.
And we are gonna just go up to episode 6 of The Last Kingdom, season 5. We're not going anything past that, even though I told you I've already seen it through. We both have seen it through once. I'm doing a second watch through now.
Me too.
We're not going to cover anything after episode 6 of season 5. So that way, if you are following along, you are free. You're safe. But anything before that and this episode is fair game. So you've been warned.
Absolutely.
Let's get into it. Into it.
Okay. So if you remember at the end of last episode, both sides, Sigtryggr and Edward's army, are getting ready to attack each other because Sigtryggr thinks that Edward attacked the Danes in Rumkova, and Edward thinks that Sigtryggr attacked the pilgrimage to Lindisfarne.
Yes.
Okay.
And by killing his wife. So
killing his wife. So
they are readying for battle to kill each other. Aethelhelm is on his way to cool down Constantine to alleviate fears because Edward has been he conquered Mercia. He is sort of turning on Sigtryggr here. So he wants Constantine to relax and be like, listen, not coming for you yet.
Exactly. And Aethelstan had been sent to Aethelhelm's camp. So he's there. He was supposed to retrieve him so that he could be told about the news of his daughter, which he was told by Bresnan. So that's where we are when this episode starts. And there's a cool scene at the beginning of this episode with Edward and Aldhelm talking about their plans. And this just gave, again, Alfred-y vibes. Like David Dawson sort of has inspired, like you can just see how both Millie Brady and Timothy Innes have just played their roles so well. But I think David Dawson inspired how they play their role because Edward says something about, we're going to send 300 men here. So Sigtryggr is going to be drawn in and then we'll take them out that way. And it's just like, he's smart now.
I love Edward this season. I mean, as far as his character, I think it's great. I mean, Alfred was someone that, he did things that he didn't like sometimes. Like we hated Alfred sometimes. When we were first watching the show, we're like, Alfred, you are such a dick. Like you're just using Uhtred here all the time. You never appreciate him.
The more I watch, like the more I see his point of view. And I don't
Exactly. Now, season 4, Edward was annoying. We've mentioned this before. We was a little disappointed after seeing what he was like in season 3. He was being built up by Alfred.
Yeah.
So I guess he went through his trials and tribulations because this episode, I'm just going to jump to it, when he has Sigtryggr killed, like, it's like, man, that sucks. But like, he does come out, he does try and be reasonable, but he's also like, listen, like, I'm a king. Like, I have to do a certain thing here. Like, I can't.
It's about
just be
perception.
Like, exactly. Like, you have to, and he comes out, he gives the offer, like, if you get baptized, basically saying, you submit your culture to us now, then you're free to go. Like, you're safe. So that way he's on top, but he is giving him a way out. So when he says, nope, not happening, if he just backs down now, it's like saying, well, nothing I say matters. Right. So,
yeah. And then imagine it, a leader of your country, an enemy came in and killed innocent soldiers when they were sleeping, regardless of if it was a misunderstanding or if it was, we see the big picture. Mm-hmm. And then your leader decided to pardon them completely. Like, he's got to act there. I hate that he did it because I love Sigtryggr. Yeah. I think he's an awesome character.
But these moments that you're talking about, like you were just bringing at the beginning here, I mean, he's being smart. He's like, and he's even like holding the hands like Alfred. He started doing that like halfway through season 4. Like, I think that's
smart. I wonder how intentional that was.
I guarantee it was. And Timothy Innes, amazing. You're freaking amazing.
You're amazing.
We love you.
We have a great talk with him. He was an awesome guest, awesome person.
Yes.
An awesome actor.
We should talk to him again.
We should. Okay. Awesome drummer too.
Yes.
So also who's planning is Sigtryggr and Steora and Rongvald. At the beginning of the episode, Sigtryggr and Steora are like on their horse and they're like pumping up the men. And Rongvald's the one who kind of is like, whoa, we're going up against a lot of people. Maybe we should slow this down a second. Mm-hmm. And Sigtryggr is just like, no, we're going to get them back. There's going to be vengeance. Sigtryggr's like, I am vengeance. Which is cool because from Sigtryggr's point of view, his people are just slaughtered. He is just going to go and take care of the business.
Let me just say too, Sigtryggr this episode, MVP. Freaking P. I mean, his character moments in this, although he doesn't win the battle, MVP. I mean, the acting this whole season by him has been awesome. And I mean, last season was great too. I just didn't get enough from him last season to be like, this is my new top favorite character from the show.
I feel like he was introduced late in the season, and he did a lot of awesome things, but that made him more anticipated this season. Like,
yes,
I had high expectations for him. And I have to say, I'm sad that he's gone now because I didn't really want him to die.
Yeah.
But he capitalized this season, I think.
Yes. And so, I mean, just him and, like you said, pumping up the men and that sort of thing, and just his like stoic nature, but then how he can be motivating at the same time. It's just so well
It's
done.
like a switch with him. It's like a switch.
But it
He
feels
can be-
organic.
He's usually like so calm, collective, and then it's time to battle. It's just like boom.
And then him
time
and
to
his
fucking go.
relationship with Stiora, Ruby Hartley, is just, it feels so organic too. Like it just feels natural. It feels like
It
a
really
pretty
does.
mature, good relationship. But yeah, so they go out and they actually end up overseeing the camp of Aethelhelm.
Yeah.
Who is, like we said, is on his way to Constantine, which is great because we don't like Aethelhelm. So if
Right.
he goes down in there and kills Aethelhelm, this is great. Like, so when I'm watching this, I'm like,
Yeah,
great, attack.
this is
kill.
awesome. It's like the fates have aligned in the perfect order here.
Yes.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, okay,
All right, great.
okay.
Great. This is easy. All right.
is
We like
great.
this. Because at the same time, Uhtred
Mhm.
and his bros, Finan and Sigtryggr, ride and they go and tell Edward, King
Yeah.
Edward, that Aethelhelm was the one responsible. They give him the evidence about
Yeah.
how the visionary or the vizier or whatever, she was the one who was the target, but the queen
And-
took the fall. So why
And
would they
these
do
moments are so satisfying to me
that?
because
Yes.
Edward listens to him.
Yes.
And like he does say like is there evidence, or Aldhelm does, but they're like they ask like, well, how do you know for sure? And then when they tell them, they're like, well, goddamn, we got to go get Aethelhelm. Like they listen to him, and I'm
that's
just like,
what I like.
finally.
That's what I like. And that's what the Last Kingdom has always been smart. There was a smart moment too we forgot to mention before when Brezel like goes up to Edith, I think it was last episode,
Mhm.
and he's like, tell me where Elfwin is. And she's like, no. And and he's like, all right, and he leaves. And like as soon as he leaves, she goes up to Aldhelm and like, that guy right there is looking for Elfwin.
Yes, it's like smart. and then right here, Edward is smart
He
because
listens.
has Uhtred in the last 4.5 seasons here, has he ever like let you down?
He saved Edward's life back in season
Oh.
1. Him and my girl Isolde. I mean,
Yeah.
that was the love of my life, Isolde. You know, so I
Mhm.
mean,
Mm-hmm.
they saved his life in the mud. You know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so
It's amazing. And last season was so frustrating because Edward kept denying Uhtred in the beginning of the season. For him to just accept it, and also when they go and tell him, there's like a little bro moment here because they tell him the news about Osferth, your natural brother. And I like Timothy Innis's acting because he can't be too distraught because he didn't really know Osferth very well.
he's the king, and he can't. And there's still the stigma then about bastards and stuff
Right.
too, right?
But he shows enough. I thought it was well done. You
Me
know,
too.
like he definitely looks like he got a little punch in the gut with that news, but not too much. And he knows what it means to Uhtred because later he says to Uhtred, I'm sorry about Osferth. Like he was your true brother.
Mhm.
You might have been my brother by blood, but he was your true brother. And I was like, God, that's stand up right there. Edward.
That was a great bro moment. Another little bro moment that I really liked. It might even be my bro moment just from the episode was when Finan, Sigtryggr, and Uhtred were riding to go tell Edward the news. They stop and they're like, "We need to rest the horses."
Mhm.
And Uhtred's like, "Here, you need to eat so we can go kill some guys," or something like that to the horse.
Yeah.
And they're just sort of talking about Osferth and how it's not Finan's fault. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I just really like seeing the bros just like riding across the country together, like
Having a
on a
moment.
mission to go kick some ass and like in remembrance of Osferth,
And there's an amazing little line here where Uhtred is like, we'll find Aethelhelm and we'll each take a limb and we'll split them into quarters. And Sigtryggr says, there's only 3 of us, Lord. And it's just like, it's like that. It's that stage of grief where you like are in denial.
And I was like, simple solution here. The horse grabs onto one end. I was like, simple solution. Or one of you grab 2 limbs at the same time. That's still quarters. Or we change the sentence into thirds. Either way.
I love the way they showed that Uhtred's still in grief.
Yes.
I thought it was a really clever way of the writers to do that there. And then you're right, Finan's on the ground and Uhtred kind of says to him, like, save your anger for those who were responsible. You're not responsible. Because Finan's like, Osfer's probably contemplating about the fool who got him killed.
As he said, the ghost is haunting the fool who got him killed. Yeah. We've got that. He tells Edward. So it's like, great. And he's like, and again, too, just a great moment with, again, Edward. I love Edward again this season. He's just like, all right, we'll tell Sigtryggr our quarrel's over. We're going after Aethelhelm. Go tell him.
Yeah, go tell him no.
Conflict's done. Go tell him.
This all makes sense now. This all makes sense.
I love that. And it's just like, all right, here we go. Things are going to work out.
Satisfying things. Sigtryggr's going to take care of Aethelhelm here. Mm-hmm. Edward. But that is where the problem starts.
Yeah, because
if Sigtryggr acts, then all of a sudden he's attacking Edward, technically, which is unfortunate because they were trying everything they could to stop Sigtryggr.
Yeah, and I think those are Mercian men with Aethelhelm. I'm pretty sure, right? At least Ethelstan's guard is Mercian.
Well, is it? I thought they would be West Saxon because Aethelhelm's army.
Well, maybe his, but again, I mean, still though. Those are
Edward's men?
No, sorry. Ethelstan's men, who is now with Aethelhelm.
Uh-huh.
He is the Mercian guard captain. So there's at least Mercians there, as well as Aethelhelm's Saxon guys.
And so they are wait, what was it? So that's where the problem lies, though, is that they're doing everything they can to stop Sigtryggr, because Edward now, like, even when he has to act because they attacked, though, it hurts him because he understands that it was a misunderstanding.
Mm-hmm.
But because of that perception we talked about earlier, he can't not act.
Exactly. And so Sigtryggr does end up acting. They're looking over the camp for Aethelhelm. And they're like, well, how are we going to get there? And they're like, well, the lake is frozen. We can just walk over it.
And Stiora is saying, dum, 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 dum. Like, she keeps saying, like, we can't risk this many men because they can lose men. We can't lose men.
Yeah, but I mean,
that's her argument. Argument.
Yeah. Obviously, in hindsight, she's right. They shouldn't have went out and attacked it. But me looking at it, I'm just like, here's a small group. We can sneak up and kill. And in the battle, they were winning. Like,
they would have won if Edward didn't show up.
They easily would have won.
Sigtryggr says that before he dies, too.
Yeah.
He blames Uhtred a little bit.
Yeah.
He's like, maybe if you didn't bring Edward, this wouldn't be happening.
Yeah. So they end up crossing the ice. Rumvald leads some group of men first.
Yeah, Rumvald is like lobbying for himself to get back in the good graces.
And here I am. I'm thinking Rumvald might be coming. He might be coming around here with this.
And he also talks about how, like, I was in Iceland. Like, I know ice. I was. He says something like, and like Stiora says something like, "Well, but we're in Wessex," and he's like, "But it's ice." Like, ice is ice.
Ice is ice, man. And so they cross the lake,
let's talk about this crossing for a second.
It's a
Rungvald comes back and I love the look on his face, and he's like, "It can be done," like, and that's cool.
Yeah.
But then it's Sigtryggr.
Mm-hmm.
Who leads them across the ice.
Yes. Just an awesome. This isn't Uhtred's gang, so it's not SEAL Team 6, but it's
still SEAL Team.
It's still Team 6 is what they're doing.
But it was weird that Uhtred wasn't involved in it. But we always said that Sigtryggr's got a lot of Uhtred in him.
Yeah, he's very Uhtred-like for sure, in a lot of ways, and it's just great them like going across. We've never seen anything like this in Last Kingdom with crossing the ice.
Very fresh,
and it was just and unique. It was very tense because like there's a moment where like it cracks and you're like, oh my gosh, are they gonna fall in?
He gets down and listens to hear, like, did it stop? Can we keep going? And they're all just standing there like, oh shit.
Like, and like now that like that it was called off and Edward is like going to be in agreement, you're like, something is going to go wrong. So you're like, I was thinking here, the ice is going to break. The ice is going to break. It's going to wake the men. They'll lose and Edward will save them or they'll get away. Like,
it'd be better if it did break. Now looking at it, it'd be better if it did break.
Maybe.
Well, no, it wouldn't be better for the episode, but for Sigtryggr, it would have been better.
Thank goodness it didn't. But they go and it was just a sweet scene too. Like after they cross and like just how cool Sigtryggr is, like get the sword ready, like in the night and like them just like sneaking in, like just a wave of like demons killing them.
It's a good way of putting it. And they go through the long grass and they like sort of disappear for a second.
Yeah, if you remember from the books, how we explain like how Uhtred, why he's so like stealthy and interested in that stuff, is the shady Gangan.
Shady Gangan, maybe
from the night children, who's the night stalkers who go like, this was like, I'm like, this is shady Gangan what they're doing, man.
Oh, it was an awesome scene. Like you said, it was tense. Now Steora was sent back to the hill to be safe, and by the way, Sigtryggr is like, all right, when things start, go to the high ground. And I was like, this guy's seen episode 3. This guy has seen Revenge of the Sith. And he's like said something about how like you'll be able to finish him off from there or something.
Yeah. Take the high ground.
Sigtryggr, smart.
It's over, Aethelhelm.
I have the high ground. Don't try it, Aethelhelm.
Don't try it, Aethelhelm.
Because as we know, Aethelhelm has turned into a Sith Lord this season.
Aethelhelm as a Sith Lord.
So they get across and they start like slitting throats and they start going into tents and just professional, just the way it should be done. Quiet, like they're quiet for such a long time.
And we should also mention too, Aethelhelm, who we were like, why doesn't he just kill Aethelstan like right away?
Yes.
He does eventually when they're talking. You can tell Aethelstan like the whole time is like, he's trying to become a good leader. He's trying to be inspiring. He's like, and he doesn't know the animosity between him and Aethelhelm. So he's like, he goes to him for support. And Aethelhelm, you can see just the whole time his face is just like, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
I was thinking like, because last episode we had that scene where he turned into a monster. Yeah. And I was thinking the whole time Aethelstan was like trying to say like, I want to be like a good leader like you, like, and Aethelhelm's like looking at him with that glare. I was like, Aethelhelm's totally thinking like, I should just pull my knife out and kill him right now.
Yes.
Like it's my camp. Like, but that would be, there are Mercian guys there. That would be bad.
That's what I think it is. I think is because the Mercian guard is there and be like, whoa, what did you just do? So
I still think it was kind of like, there should be some kind of speculation that you don't send the bastard of the king to the king's father-in-law.
Dum.
Just for safety measures.
I remember like when Uhtred was like, oh, we should make sure Aethelstan is safe too, for sure. Because Aethelhelm is bad and he's like making moves. And Aethelhelm's like,
So this is kind of crazy. You're not going to believe this. Funny story. I kind of sent Aethelstan to Aethelhelm.
So he's just there, surrounded by his men.
Yeah, but you're right. So I'm glad though that he did go to Brezel and he's like, look, accidents happen, Brezel.
Yes.
And Brezel's like, all right. And they also talk about how Aelfwin and Aelswith were spotted.
Yes.
And so he's like, all right, there's 2 things that need to get done now.
And so they do hire, there's a guy then, while the Sigtryggr's men are coming and wrecking the camp, there's a guy that comes and tries to kill Aethelstan in the middle of the night. And like, I feel bad. I mean, like for like Harry Gilby, I feel like has every drag out brawl Like just every like whack, 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 just punch, punch, fighting for your life, biting tooth and nail, just clawing to survive, fight in this this season.
And I loved it.
It is great. It is great. Like he bites a guy's thumb off, right? Does he bite the guy's thumb off?
Yeah, and it's crazy because that was improvised. No, just kidding. Just kidding.
He just kept the cameras rolling. Just Harry, fight for your life.
Because Harry told us when he was on the podcast about how he would improvise. There was a scene earlier in the season that he like pulled a guy down that was improvised.
That was that stunt guy coming to talk to him like before the next shoot. Like that's who comes in this tent. He's like, "Hey Harry, like could you take it easy on me next time?" And Harry just whack.
He just bites his finger off. And they just kept filming the whole time.
And what does he do? Like after he does that, he like it looks like he like twists the hands weird or something too.
Yeah.
He fucks this guy up. I mean,
Uhtred and him, like he must have like Uhtred and him just like threw all the swords away, and when they trained, they just freaking wrestled.
Just MMA'd.
I bet Aethelstan killed a freaking bear or something.
Yes.
Jeez.
He definitely did a Bjorn. He definitely Bjorn. But it was also too like it's also like how again, like I love how smart the show is in the sense like as soon as he realizes he's getting attacked by some guy in his own tent in the middle of the night, he starts yelling for help. You know what I mean? Like when he was getting attacked at the beginning of the season, he starts yelling for Uhtred. And like it's just so smart. Be like, because like other people like in fights and stuff and shows, they don't say anything, and then like people just walk by and it's just like, but here he is, he's like, help, and then that's what like then like that's what starts waking the other guys up too.
And then a guy gets the bell.
Yeah, and a guy gets the bell going. Bell guy gets killed. That was my
I know.
Oh my
God, moment of silence, please. Okay. Steve, are you okay? Do you want to end the podcast?
Can we?
We can.
Okay.
Yeah.
But bell guy, like after
by the way,
the yell and bell guy goes and
the
like,
bell's ringing, and I realized like, God damn, the sun is coming up. They must have waited to like the wee hours of the morning to do this attack. I thought they were starting at like middle of the night.
What I was thinking was it probably like took a decent amount of time for them to slowly cross the ice.
True.
And then they're working through a camp with I don't know how many men are at that camp, but like they're slowly and stealthily like killing dudes on the way. So like early morning.
Take on the scale of hours, I guess.
Yeah. I was thinking like that mission probably took a long time.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Now it's an all-out battle between Aethelhelm and the Saxon men and the Danes under Sigtryggr.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. There's like fire going. The tents are on fire. Again, the atmosphere in like because there's like this frozen lake and there's it's like winter and there's these like dead tall grass around like the swampy area and like
just
tents hours
everywhere.
Yeah, there's all these tents. It's so tense.
Did you hear about the fire at Aethelhelm's camp?
It was tense.
It was intense.
Oh,
yes.
We'll
give you all a second to finish laughing. Okay.
So all out battle going on. Yeah. Uhtred does ride up and he sees Stior there and he's like, oh no. Damn, like we gotta end this. This is bad. Like we came here. He
says like if Edward sees this, he has no choice. You know?
Yeah. And he's like, and I love too, like all the callbacks to like previous seasons. He's like Sigtryggr has been reasonable before. And he's like, remember Wessex?
Remember when we stopped the battle?
We stopped the battle with a shield wall call. So I love that. And he's goes
gonna
down,
charge in, yeah.
And they're also looking for Aethelstan and Sigtryggr. So like they're just like
and Aethelhelm.
So they're just slaughtering dudes and they're like yelling Sigtryggr, Aethelstan, and
Aethelhelm.
Aethelhelm.
Aethelhelm's like, yeah?
Me?
No, but what Aethelhelm is actually doing, and this is interesting. He comes out of the tent and sees what's going on. He's like, protect me. at all costs.
I love that moment. He was like, protect me.
Forget about all you.
Like he doesn't say like, hey, let's try and get a plan to win this. He's just like, protect me.
Get me out of here. And Brezel does, and Brezel calls shield wall.
That's how the shield wall call.
Which
10
was
points to Brezel.
First one of the season, I think. And
pretty sure, yeah.
Which we're not super happy that that's the first one of the season.
Yeah, and it's 6 episodes in Last Kingdom.
6 episodes in.
That's their first one. You waited to call. But I think season 4 waited on 10 episodes before they had any call.
That's true.
So
that's true.
Better than season 4, but you could do better. Hint, hint, movie, shield wall, 3-tier level shield wall. Yes, please.
4, 5, why not?
There's
Standing
ladders
on each other's shoulders. There's ladders now. Come on. Technology is advancing.
Horses. Stack them. Stock those. But shield wall call, and they're just going around. The battle's going crazy. And there's some really good beats in this.
There's amazing beats.
We get to see, again, battle choreography this season is on another level, I would say. And it's always been good. Let me just say that. But I would say, like, even like the quick battles before, like a battle like this, it would be cool when there'd be slashing and things happening. But there's a lot of like memorable moves, like when Sigtryggr, like, he does all this judo now. Like he's just like, he tosses guys. And I love it too. Like he just like judos like 2 guys in a row.
Yeah.
He kills them. And like he gets up and he's like, Aethelstan!
Where
just,
are
like,
you?
just so like aggressive. And I was like, oh my God, like Aethelstan isn't coming to you, man. Like,
yeah.
By the way, we talked about this too. Arnis Fedrovicius, who plays Sigtryggr, he's looking like jacked.
He's looking yoked. Yeah.
Like he's always been lean, but like this season,
and he's been cut, I would say.
Yeah, he's always been cut. But like this now, he's like his arms are like huge and cut.
He bulked up.
Yeah,
he bulked up. And you know what else happens in this fighting sequence that we talked to Mark Rowley about? We were like, what do you want from Finnan in the next season? And he's like, I'd like to fight with a spear in the show, because that's like historically accurate. They fought with spears all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And you see him in his beats, he's got a spear, baby. So I was happy to see that.
I know. If there was any, if I had any complaint with the spear, it's just I wish they would have done it with a shield wall. Like from the books and from earlier in the show, they didn't have spears. They just did the shields and swords. But if they would have done like the shield wall, like they did earlier seasons, and then use the spears like they do in the books. And I think about like the Battle of the Bastards. Think about how menacing that was with the shields and the spears. Like it can be done to look cool. Like I know like they're afraid of like the shield walls like being boring for people, but it can be done to be cool. So keep that in mind. Movie. The
movie's done filming, dude. We can't do anything.
They can do edits.
They can go back. Reshoot it, baby.
If you forgot important parts, you need to reshoot this. But he gets this. We talked to Mark, and it was great to see him do it. I was like, good for you.
I was like, nice. That's all. I'm happy that he got that. And if we talk to him again, we'll have to ask if he kind of asked them if he could.
That might happen, Colby. I don't know.
And I love how Uhtred comes in here, and Uhtred said, we need to look for Sigtryggr, Aethelhelm, and Aethelstan, but his first priority is Aethelstan. He's like a father figure to him. He looks at him like a son, like we talked about earlier.
I would say one thing too, again, I feel like they just reused Uhtred spinning and yelling Aethelstan. I'm pretty sure they just reused the same move over and over again, just from different angles. Like,
you think so?
Oh, there's because there's one sweet move where Uhtred like I think he like spins down low and he like hamstrings and like he like hamstrings one guy and then he quadriceps another guy, and like then he comes up and kills them both with another spin. And I was like, that was an amazing move. And then like later in the battle, you see it again from a wide shot, and I was like, oh. And then I definitely saw. I don't know if it was the same move, but I kept seeing Uhtred spinning and then yelling Aethelstan. And like, even if it wasn't the same move, I was like, this feels the same over. And over.
Okay.
But
hey,
like,
if it works, right?
Yeah. For the record, too, that happens a lot of times in movies and shows with big battles because like just because they captured something on camera and then they can show it from different angles and they don't have to do it. They don't have to take a million takes to move 100 men fighting each other over and over again.
Right.
So, but that's just one thing. That was the only like negative thing about the battle, you know. And I know I mentioned the shield wall, but as far as like the only thing I noticed while I was watching it was I was like, Uhtred's doing a lot of like spins, and I'm pretty sure it's the same one over and over again.
Okay, that's fair enough. I didn't notice, but I'm gonna look for it next time.
Yes.
But there's
sweet beats. Like,
another cool sequence. So Sigtryggr, he first of all, when the bell's ringing and the sun comes up, he's just ready. Okay, stealth is over. He like screams. He's like, Rongvald has an awesome scream. And then there's a scene where the two brothers, Rongvald and Sigtryggr, are like fighting together and they're kind of jumping around each other. Like they'll go to get this one, then they'll turn and get the one behind his brother. And I was like, this is like a little Avengers style to me. I don't know if you thought that. I was like this like feels like a little like they're fighting together and like they got each other's back. I was like,
yeah, or like how I'd imagine like Anakin and Obi-Wan in their prime, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a great bro moment for sure. That was a great bro moment. Literally two brothers here. Yeah. And that was an amazing scene. And again, Sigtryggr has so many amazing moments in this battle. Yeah. Like you said, when he comes out and he smacks the shield with his sword when it's time to just go, and every kill he has, and that moment there, and then later on when Edward does come down, he joins the battle. He's like, with me. And he's like getting all of his men.
This freaking moment, dude.
That was amazing. If they would have just called Shield Wall, I think I would have had an orgasm. I think I honestly would have. I honestly think I would have.
Let's break this moment down a second because, well, first let's back it up a second real quick because I want to touch on when Edward arrives. He sees what's going on, and Eldhelm's like, "What are we going to do?" And he's like, "Let's give Uhtred more time." And I love this. I was like, yes. But then after a little bit, Eldhelm says, Lord, look at how this looks. Your people are being attacked. And if we don't act, like that's not good. And so he's like, okay, you're right. We got to attack. It kind of sucks because I didn't want to fight Sigtryggr. But they have an awesome charge down the hill. And we sort of see them entering the tents and stuff, but then they haven't reached Sigtryggr yet. And like you said, they start gearing up because they know Edward's coming. And they line up, and there's the smoke. The smoke, so it's like very hazy, and the slow-mo.
There's this slow-mo shot of the horses of the men riding in, and just coming in and just wrecking. And I would say though, you know, when we talked about the Battle of Tettenhall, I was like, why would they ride their horses up, get off, and then go fight? But historically, that was actually what would happen because back then, one, the shield wall was the big way that people fought. Two, you actually found this out recently. Stirrups weren't invented until
invented. They may have been invented a long time ago, but they weren't in England apparently until late 10th century.
They weren't in use.
They weren't in use in England. So that's that's what kind of drove the knight. That's why knights became so formidable on horseback.
Yeah. Because it was harder to stay on horseback if you don't have stirrups. So like if you're fighting, it was so much easier for you to fall off and stuff like that, right?
Right. Which is a really interesting piece of history. Yeah. And it's obviously not something that you could really do on a show because so many of the actors need to be able to ride the horse. You know, it's just not really doable to not have stirrups in a show. Yeah. I take back that little gripe I had at the Battle of Tettenhall. I want to make sure it. This is an official retraction. This is official
retraction here.
This is going to have to be approved by, you know, the council.
Of course,
the committee, and
the board of the Screen Chronicles.
So I hope.
My God,
I know.
Bust our balls every
day. I know. Any decision that you guys didn't like in our last Arslings Award it wasn't us. It was the committee. We were just announcing the names.
We're just hosts.
We're just the hosts. It was a committee. Uh, so,
but that was one thing, because you told me that. I was thinking that when I was watching this, I was like, well, that's an awesome scene, but actually they should be on the. But anyway, though, it was an amazing scene. Amazing. I feel like I keep complaining, but I gave it a 10 out of 10. Let me back.
You gave it a 10 out of 10.
I gave it a 10 out of 10.
It's just discussion. It's fine.
I love that scene though.
Oh my god!
And they do end up getting driven back some though, by Edward's men. Then now they were clearly winning the battle. Now they're being overwhelmed. Edward's the king of 2 kingdoms now. He's got Mercians. He's got Wessex. He's just coming down.
He's a boss. By the way, real quick, back to that when the horses kind of come around the corner of those tents. What made that scene amazing? Props to the director. The stillness before, because like they show the scene and there's no horses, and then the slow-mo of them coming on, and then it's just madness, and they just plow through Sigtryggr's men.
Well, they're like kind of pushing them off back still with like shields and stuff too.
Yeah, they are. But the horses plow through. The horses just
like the men are like trying to hold them back with like shields and stuff. Like that was just sweet. I would have loved to have been there to see that. And then there's a sweet, again, why like I've got to give Sigtryggr MVP here, is because like he like spears a horse and takes it down and kills the guy. Like, just so cool. So many cool things happen in this battle.
I know. And also there's a moment that Edward saves Aethelhelm real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And
there's been some tension cool between them.
Yeah, because of what Edward took over Mercia, and Aethelhelm didn't like that. But then Aethelhelm has been kind of slowly, he's kind of been his right-hand man, right? Since then. And this, I think, like seals the deal between them, because Aethelhelm just nods at him. So that was a cool bro moment.
But when the horses ride in too, they also cut off Finan from charging after Aethelhelm when he's surrounded.
But he's like, fight me,
Aethelhelm.
Amazing.
And then
Sigtryggr holds him back, and he's like, there's just too many, don't do it.
Yeah. And the horses cut them off, and then that's when Aethelhelm then escapes. So now it's disappointing, because like as we were saying, there were so many like satisfying moments at the beginning of this episode. It's like, right, now we know Aethelhelm's the bad guy. Yeah. Everyone knows this.
Yeah.
Now we know, we're calling off the conflict between Sigtryggr and Edward. And it's like, shit, and he gets away.
Yeah.
Ultimately, after Edward wins, they win the battle, and they corner Sigtryggr. Uhtred does talk everyone down, like, hey, let's stop fighting. You know, he pulls in episode 10, season 4 again. And it was just such a great moment.
Yeah.
When like Sigtryggr just like lets out this like scream and just like takes the knee, just like frustration, you know?
Yeah. And he's taken a lot of guilt for this, because this was his decision. And he now it looks like a bad decision, even though they were going to win before Edward showed up. He had no way of knowing Edward was coming. Also, real quick, before we leave the battle, just one more beat I want to talk about is Aethelstan had another amazing sequence. They followed Harry Gilby for a while, and he was just like, he's still pretty like raw when he fights. He's not as like, he doesn't have the precision that like Finan and Sigtryggr and Uhtred have, but they like follow him like through the tents, and I just love that part.
It was a great moment. It's like a little slow-mo thing too.
But then they pull him out too. They finally get him out.
Yeah.
And Uhtred's like, and Uhtred saves him. So he actually loses to the one Dane, and the Dane's like going to kill him, and Uhtred comes in and saves him real quick. And then Uhtred gets Sigtryggr to take him out. And later when they lose, Aethelstan holds Steora back from running in when all the Danes are getting captured.
And so now it's in that tough spot that we said earlier, when Edward and Aethelhelm are in their tent. They've got all the Danes tied up. They're like, well, what are we going to do? And Uhtred's like Aethelhelm instigated this, you know, like he was going after Aethelhelm for killing his people and for feeling like he's been betrayed back when Ephorwich was taken. Like, come on, like this all makes sense. And
right.
And like they both acknowledge it, but they're like, he came in here and killed our people. Like, yeah, like for sure Aethelhelm's a dick. Like we want to get Aethelhelm, but like he just killed like so many of our people.
Yeah.
Like, we can't just be like, alrighty, you know. So that's when they come up with, like we said, he comes out very Alfred like. He's got the hands crossed. And I love the lighting at this moment too. And that's when he says, like, if you guys receive the glorious gift of baptism, Wallen just like looks like, what the hell are you talking about?
Even Uhtred's like, whoa, that's way too much to ask. Like,
yeah,
they're gods. Like, you strip them of who they are if you strip them of their gods.
That's what Sigtryggr says too. He's like, Dane's not a Dane without his gods,
right?
He's like, nope.
And he refuses. And Wrongvald though is like, we have to. He gets down on his knees. He's a weasel. He's a weasel.
He's still a weasel shit.
He's still a weasel.
Same thing that happened in the battle after which, when he notices the tide has changed, he switches sides.
I mean, Heston would do things like that to keep himself alive for a long time.
Heston.
I don't know if Heston would do a lot to keep himself alive. That's all I know.
I don't know if he'd switch sides. He'd definitely run away.
Switch sides though. He'd run away. You know. But yeah, so
I think he would have left the battle before it got too out of hand.
Right.
Like he did it Beyond for that in season 2.
Yeah. Edward says, so be it, when he refuses. And they go back, and Uhtred bargains for Steora's life too. He's like, first thing I want is Steora. Like, she didn't kill anybody, you know, and they agree. But Sigtryggr, they come out, and Uhtred tells the news of the decision to Steora. First, he's like, you're not going to die. But Sigtryggr sentenced to death. And I like how Steora says to him, do not despair. Our kin still have so many songs to sing about us at one point. And that to me is just like, that's what matters to them, is their reputation. Like, as long as they have like a reputation when they die, like, that's so important to them.
But then what happens sucks. It's an amazing scene though. I mean, yeah. I keep talking about the atmosphere and like the color palette of like
the palette.
The palette, man. I'm telling you, it looked great. Like, it was so visually pleasing when I was watching it. I don't know how else to say it. Especially too with like Uhtred's sword, like in that lighting is perfect. You know, like the way it, like, serpent breath, you sexy bitch. You know,
oh my god. Ugh.
And you know, like with the ember hilts and like just the sword, like it's just perfect. Look at it behind you. Look at her back there.
Look at a gleam. So yeah, so Sigtryggr's like, you have to do it, Uhtred. And Uhtred's like, no, don't make me do that. And that's when he says that point, like, you know, if you didn't come, you know, we probably would have won. If you didn't bring Edward, we would have won. And
yeah, that was kind of a.
But he also says, that was like the only little bit of like disdain he said. But the other thing he said to him was like, I want to die an honorable death, killed by a great warrior.
And that was very important by the Danes back then, was for reputation. If you're gonna die, you want someone who has reputation to kill you, right? So Sigtryggr getting killed by Uhtred, who has like won every battle since season 1, you know, like that's the guy you want. Yeah. But besides Bember, obviously, and
yeah, exactly.
Didn't win that one, but generally undefeated. You know what like 1,201.
Yeah.
So
what Sigtryggr says, and he says it in the same calm, cool, collective way he has always been, which I thought was pretty awesome. He says, they may butcher our bodies, but our souls are Odin's own. And I was like, God, that's a sick, sick line. And Uhtred looks at Sigtryggr, and Sigtryggr brings Sigtryggr his sword. And I am just, this is classic Last Kingdom. Like,
I said this in our what we wanted from this season, and they must have listened to me because that's what we said. That's one thing that we didn't hear them talk about or say or anything last season, was dying with weapon in hand to get to Valhalla. And here we go. They're bringing out, I think it's Sigtryggr's sword, or is it just Sigtrygg's sword? I don't know. but they're bringing out a sweet sword either way.
I'm assuming it's Sigtryggr's sword. We could probably go back and look more close. If you know, feel free to comment.
Yes.
But we'll go back and look now that we're asking ourselves. But yeah, I think it's his because they probably would have taken it as a prisoner since he was a prisoner, you know?
Yeah. And just the way he gives him the sword and he just grips it and just there's emotion in his face, but at the same time, he's just so calm and he's just like, I don't know, Zen. You know what I mean? Like, he's a Zen Dane. And
I'm thinking the whole time Uhtred's holding the sword, I'm like, there's no way he can do this. Like, what? He's got to find a way. He's got to find a way out of this.
Nah, he kills him, man.
Kills me. He kills his daughter's husband. He kills. Oh, this next family dinner is going to be rough. Like,
we've all been there.
We've all been there. Look it over it. But Steora also told before this happened, Steora's like, I'll take back Aethelstan because Sigtryggr's like, I failed. I've let all my people down. Like they're just taking everything we built. And she's like, I'll take back Aethelstan.
I just love too that he like the whole scene. It was just so like perfect. You know, like he holds the sword, puts it to his chest, like right where his heart is, and just the sun and just the emotion off of both of them. Like it was so good. And you can
an amazing moment.
You can tell Edward isn't happy about it, but he's like, I've got to keep up this image. Like I'm king, and like I've made this decision. I'm sticking to it.
By the way, this is the third consecutive episode that they've just killed off a main character, like a character everyone loved. They get Aethelflaed in 4, Osferth in 5,
Sigtryggr in 6.
Yeah, and young Uhtred's balls in 1.
Oh, the balls.
I'm sorry. Vivica died. Not she was a main character. Vivica died in 3.
Yeah, I was kind of happy about that. No, I wasn't.
Sigtryggr's hair in 2. Anyway, so we lose another main character, but beautifully shot. We're sad that he's gone. Really didn't want Sigtryggr to die. I was kind of hoping he'd be in the movie too, and he's so badass.
That's one thing too. When I first watched it, a little spoiler from the books, people. So if you don't want to hear this quick spoiler, just jump like 10 seconds or maybe 20 seconds. 20 seconds, go for it. Sigtryggr stays
20
alive.
seconds now.
20 seconds now. 30 seconds. Sigtryggr is alive in the last book, and Steora is dead in the last book. So it was a little switcheroo that the show did on us here, and I wonder why. But it was a cool moment. But I want to know the rationale behind that. If it's like what you said, I don't know. That's one thing I was feeling when I was watching this season the first time. That I wasn't frustrated, but I was kind of, I don't know. I didn't know how to feel about it when I first watched it. Is like how we just mentioned, there's these 3 episodes in a row where main characters are dying. And I'm just like, are they like trying to like give us like this grave sense of finality this whole season? Like they're just like cleaning house.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly why that happened, but it was a great scene. Again, I loved this episode. I loved that. I loved kind of what it did for it. I wish we would have kept Sigtryggr, but great.
But so that's basically the whole battle part in a nutshell. We should talk about a couple of the other things. Oh, by the way, one more thing about the battle. We'll wrap that up completely. As they're leaving, Aethelstan like has a comment about, we should not have left from Kova. Maybe Osferth would still be alive. And it's like Osferth and Aethelstan were bros because they're both bastards. So that was one moment. And then Uhtred is basically like, look, you need to become a leader now. People are looking at you as a leader. So it's time for you. Because I think Aethelstan says, I want to go back to my old life. And Uhtred's like, no, you got to, things are changing. And then
like, when a new season starts, man, like the fun times end.
Another awesome moment is when Aethelhelm and Edward are going, and it just seems bad, but Aethelhelm says there is hope in all this despair. Aethelstan is yours, Lord King. The dream of England has never been closer. Ooh.
Yep.
Edward's liking that. And the other big thing that happens, there's a bunch of sequences with Aelswith and Aelfwin in the town of Buxton. They are hiding there, and Aelswith is kind of getting like nasty with her. like classic Aelswith.
Yeah.
She was contemplating putting her in a convent,
as she likes to do.
Yeah, she likes to do, because they found out from a guy named Redwald that Rumkova had been attacked. So they're like, "Ooh, we need to move because this is unsafe." And then Edith shows up later and is like, "You guys, they're coming after you now. Like, we gotta go."
And Elfwin has already escaped while Ellsworth was out and away. And the episode ends with like her riding off on her own. Like we said, Aethelhelm escaped, and he's telling Brezel, we're going to need to capture them so we can use them going forward. And he's like, I'm still going to go to Constantine.
Yeah.
And
he's still expecting a gift.
Yeah. And I'm going to work on a plan for us to still have my grandson sit on the throne.
He doesn't have many more options. His army's gone now. So he's really he's losing everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's his plan. And I want to talk about that last. But one other thing we need to talk about before we talk about where he goes to Scotland is that Brida and Pyrlig have a lot of sequences in this. And
oh yeah,
there's a part where Pyrlig's sleeping and Brido's like on him with a knife, but she doesn't kill him. And he's like, "Why? Did you just kill me?" And there's these warriors, and she makes Pyrlig go talk to the warriors, and they basically tell him about Rumkova.
And that Edward's troops are moving, Sigtryggr's troops are moving. So he knows there's a conflict going on between the two of them. He doesn't know what's going to happen, where they're going. I think he says they know they're riding north. And eventually, later on, when the two of them come across one of Sigtryggr's men who had fled the battle.
Yeah.
He fled the battle. He was wounded. They find his body, and the man's dying. And he's like, "Oh, like the conflict, it killed me." And
Brida's like, "Was Uhtred there?"
Mm.
And he's like, "Yeah, he was fighting with the Saxons, killing the Danes." And Brida's like, "What the hell?" Because I think Brida was seriously considering trying to reconcile with Uhtred. Maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
But if there's any thought of that, it's gone now.
Yeah.
And Pyrlig, and when the guy says that, Pyrlig is just like, "God damn it!" Like, because now she's definitely going to try to kill Uhtred.
And she stabs Pyrlig
in the same place, by the way, that Aethelred stabbed Eldhelm.
Oh, the old
wound shot. I think it's a similar place.
The old gut, but doesn't kill you. Spot.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think when that first happened, we were both like, "Well, how did Eldhelm not die from that stab wound?" But
that reminds me too. Speaking of the guys who fled the battle, we do get to see people fall through the ice, so that was still satisfying.
Yes, yeah, those are on their way out. I know. There's a guy thing about ice breaking. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of social media videos about it. Like this one's for the guys, and they take a chunk of ice and throw it on the ground. So that was super satisfying for us.
This one's for the guys. I haven't seen that.
Oh, I'll send you some of those.
Send those to me.
I will. So yeah, that is where we leave Brida and Pyrlig, and they're now separated. And I think there's just one more thing to talk about in this episode. And I texted Steve about a certain character at the end of the season, and I said, "I think you're gonna like him," and we get to meet him this episode. And that would be King Constantine in Scotland. And he comes out with his nephew. We later find out.
Mm-hmm.
And they're talking about the Northumbrian lords being there.
This is like the table of evil villains for the Justice League or something. It feels like to me. The Northumbrians.
Yeah. It's what it feels like, but in all honesty, it's just they're worried about Edward coming up. So they're well, we should
rightfully so, because Edward is
probably team up,
taking all the kingdoms. He has all the king. He has East Anglia, he has Mercia, he has Wessex. Northumbria is the only one left.
Yeah, I think his nephew says something about should we just kill him or something? And he's just like, "No, we should probably hear what they say. We're going to need them right now." Mm-hmm. And he's authoritative right away. And this scene is good for two reasons, because it introduces him and it reintroduces a character that we've been waiting to see this season. Someone we met briefly, but had a big role when we did see him in season 4. And I really liked him in season 4. I was like, I want more of his character.
Me too.
He basically goes around the table of Northumbrian lords after like saying like, we need to kind of at this time team up to defend our lands. And they're all going around saying, oh, I will. And he looks at the guy to his right and he's like, who are you? And guess who it is, everybody? Uhtred of Bebbanburg. And
that's when it ends.
And it's like, okay, now we're getting into the Bebbanburg stuff.
That was
now we're starting to get into Bebbanburg. So I was waiting for him to show up. So that got me really excited. But Constantine is a great introduction. Rod Hallett, who plays him.
We should talk with him.
We should talk with him. And maybe by the time this episode comes out, we will have already talked to him. So we talked to him. And you should check that out on our channel. So he was a great guest, by the way. I love his talk. So if you haven't seen it, if we've had him yet, but if you haven't seen it, we have. Check it out. He's awesome, and we'll talk more about him in the later episodes. So I think that's everything.
Best bro moment from the episode. We mentioned a few this one.
I am gonna pick. There's a lot of good ones that I think are like level playing field. I don't know if one stands out more than the others. Does it for you? Is there one for you?
I would say, like, if we're talking like big, noticeable ones, I would say.
I think the whole Sigtryggr death has a lot of broness about it.
Yeah, there's a lot of broness when
bringing the sword, and
they bring the sword over.
Just asking Uhtred to do it, to be a warrior.
Does it? I mean, that's probably the standout one.
That's a standout. That's true.
I would say the next one is probably Sigtryggr and Rumvald
fighting together. Those are the two that came up in my mind. So why don't you take one? I'll take the other.
Also, too, I want to mention though, like the one like we mentioned with Osferth in the tent. With Edward, and then I love the bros riding out together.
Yeah.
And then like talking to the horse, like. We have men to kill. Like it was so classic, bro. Like all of them together. So I want to just make sure we highlight all those.
I want to highlight all those bro moments,
and we did. But I want to make sure it's done again. I'm gonna have to pick because I just love the Dane culture, and it was something I wanted, and they highlighted like perfectly. Like it was intentionally done. They intentionally brought the sword back to Sigtryggr. There's no mistake. We are killing him with the sword, so he goes Valhalla. For you audience members who love that shit. So when Uhtred kills Sigtryggr, I mean, it sounds bad, but he had to die, and he asked Uhtred to do it, and it was a great moment.
Yeah,
it was frustrating, but it was a great moment.
Yeah, I'm gonna take then. Also, another one honorable mention is when Edward and Aethelhelm do the nod when Edward saves them. That's another one we got to mention. I'll pick the brothers fighting together. Then I loved that moment when because it was so epic.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And they're watching each other's back, and you can tell like they've probably trained together as kids.
And it's a long take too. Like it is a long take. Like they don't do a lot of cuts, so it's just like the two of them had to be on point. The stunt men who were coming in and getting killed by them had to be on point. Like it was so good.
Oh, another honorable mention: Edith taking the time out of her way to go and warn Elswith and Elfwin. Like she didn't have to do that.
Yeah,
that's another bro moment nominee. But yeah, I picked mine. And now, what's your favorite moment from the episode?
Favorite moment? I'm gonna have to just say all of Sigtryggr's moments in the battle were my favorite moments. When he kills the horse, when he gets the men to hold off against Edward's men, when he's with his brother fighting, when he first crosses every single moment, as soon as he steps on the ice until he dies is and MVP for me. That's favorite moment. If I can, I
great.
wrap a lot up there, but if I had to pick just one,
yeah,
it'd be the battle with him killing the horse and wrecking stuff up.
Because mine is involves him is the moment when the horses are coming around the tent.
Yeah.
To me, that was, and that goes more to the directors and the film crew who made that moment possible, the editors. That was one of the most intense moments of the battle. And so that charge in and that moment was just absolutely incredible. And there's also just a sliver of a bro moment I want to mention. When Pyrlig went to talk to those soldiers, the one soldier said to him, like, do you need assistance? Kind of wink, wink, because he saw that Brida was back there, or he saw that there was somebody with him. Sort of like, if you suspect someone needs help. And Pyrlig said no at the time because he was doing his thing. He thought he could save Brida.
Yeah,
I think.
He's trying to save her.
But I thought that was cool. I just wanted to mention that real quick.
Pyrlig has done a lot of cool bro modes so far in the show.
And another favorite moment nominee too is just Aethelstan's brawl too. It was so awesome, biting the finger, and so that's another one for me.
You have to pick one. What's your? Is it the horses?
Because you picked all. Well, you picked all the Sigtryggr stuff. I'm gonna take Aethelstan's fight.
Okay.
Then because the one I picked before kind of encompasses the one you picked. Like it's in that. But listen, you guys have heard I like both of them. This is a tough one to pick. All these moments. This is a really tough episode to pick. Moments. Some episodes have like standout obvious ones.
This one's like it's this one. I think our last two, we've both been like, we both had the same one.
Yeah. This one I was like, man, how do you pick? But that's a 10 out of 10 episode for you.
That's why it's a 10 out of 10.
So I hope you enjoyed this talk. What did you think of this episode? What did you rate it? Tell us your favorite moments, your favorite bro moments. We'd love to hear them. And please subscribe, like, comment.
It's like we always say, Cobstone.
Goodbye. And destiny is all